It's Tuesday, November 3, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. So glad you could join us. Top in the news, the Wilkie Cumberbatch Primary School will be closed for the remainder of the week. Word of this from Education Minister Cynthia Bradshaw, who said recent heavy rains have weakened the school's already deteriorating structure and an urgent fix is needed.
These most recent events have weakened an already ailing plant. In the interest of ensuring the safety of our teachers and students, the Wilkie Cumberbatch Primary School will be closed for the remainder of the week while further assessments are carried out and arrangements put in place to address the relocation, if necessary, of our students and staff. While there has been no major damage to the prefab buildings on the site, the administrative block which houses the staff room and the principal's office have both been impacted, as well as some classrooms in the main block. The ministry therefore regrets the inconvenience caused to parents and guardians, and we will continue to keep you informed as we work towards urgently addressing the situation at the school.
Just yesterday, President of the Barbados Union of Teachers, Pedro Shepherd, called on the ministry to conduct a more comprehensive assessment of schools when repairs are being carried out. Minister Bradshaw acknowledged that the issues at Wilkie Cumberbatch have been long-standing, but stressed that the school was in line for major upgrades.
Over the years, conditions at the school have continued to deteriorate, and each year only minor works were being carried out on the site, while the major infrastructural issues remained unaddressed. Since coming to office, we've been focusing on conducting the assessments and preparing costs for the works which need to be done with respect to a number of these major projects. Wilkie Cumberbatch was therefore included amongst the 7 schools which will now receive electrical upgrades in December of this year, and substantial works at the schools were to be rolled out in 2021 during the domestic summer program, as it was clear that the neglect of the school was reaching a critical juncture.
Heavy rains over the past week that left several communities across Barbados still waterlogged appear set to return this weekend. In a weather information statement issued today, the Barbados Meteorological Services served early notice that while fair to sunny conditions which resume on Monday will last for most of the week, by the weekend conditions will change. It said starting Saturday and more so on Sunday, the island will experience occasional moderate to heavy showers as a series of troughs are expected to affect the region during that period. Stressing that the weather statement was not a warning or watch, the BMS, however, noted that due to already saturated areas around the island, flooding is likely. It urged residents to repair any leaking roofs and ensure drains are not clogged and gutters are kept free and clear of debris ahead of the inclement weather. A call to the island's vendors to step up their game is coming from Public Relations Officer of the Barbados Association of Retailers, Vendors and Entrepreneurs, Valentina Barrow, who suggests it won't be business as usual when the new Fairchild Street Market Village opens. Barrow, who is also chairman of the organization's Fairchild Street branch, insists that vendors must do more to ensure that their trade remain viable.
What we want the public to know, and as well as those who has an eye on Fairchild Street Market Village, is we no longer have the intent of doing business the old-fashioned way, in that I respectfully call it pack and pray, as was the old thing in the days when I was a young lad on the same premises with my granddad. I would watch the people pack, and I mean literally pray. They would take out the Bible, they would chant some psalms, and some would do whatever they were doing in the hopes that they would get a sale. But those days are gone. And we expect in this new dispensation of the market village, we expect people to have an independent, or should I say individual business plan for their relative business according to what kind of business they're in.
He was speaking during a press briefing on Monday. He disclosed that vendors moving into the 116 stalls at the new Fairchild Street Market are expected to receive much-needed training in business management.
We have Joya Hay on board, and we'll be having one of those, for right now the word is eluding me, a business consultants, I presume, who will come and give some workshops, right, to put the people on the right track. We would also trying to assist with some financial tippings to those who might be a little wary on cash, and we hope that that will come to bear in the form of a loan for all those who qualify.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news now, the Nurses Association of Jamaica is raising concern about a number of dengue cases that are being overlooked because of COVID-19. We get the details from Shamala Pullin of Television Jamaica.
Prior to COVID-19, dengue was high on the agenda for public health officials. But since the first case of COVID-19 was identified in March, it seems dengue has been placed on the back burner. Now dengue is becoming a major public health problem once again. Patsy Edwards-Henry is the president of the Nurses Association of Jamaica, NAJ. According to Mrs. Edwards-Henry, the challenge now faced by public health nurses is that some persons are confusing the signs and symptoms of dengue to that of COVID-19.
Dengue comes with its own set of signs and symptoms, include pain in the eyes, headache, joint pains, fatigue, but these may also be associated with COVID-19. So it is for us as healthcare practitioners to be vigilant, to ensure that we take correct histories and we rule out and come to the correct diagnosis that the patient can be treated accordingly.
On the international scene, Americans streamed to the poll on Tuesday to choose between incumbent President Donald Trump and challenger Joe Biden on a day with little of the disruption many had feared. More in this report from Reuters Television.
Americans headed to the polls on Tuesday to choose either incumbent Donald Trump or challenger Joe Biden as their next president, after a tumultuous 4 years that have left the country as deeply divided as at any time in recent history. Residents in a predominantly African-American neighborhood in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, lined up early. For this voter, the choice was clear. She's going with Biden.
I believe that they're going to get things done. I believe they're going to spend the money to upgrade my neighborhood, to make my life, my kids' life, their kids' life better than it was.
In Miami, Floridians in a largely Latino suburb turned out to vote before dawn.
I voted for the greatest president in history, Donald J. Trump. It's incredible what this man has done in 4 years.
Tuesday capped weeks of historic early voting that saw nearly 100 million people cast ballots by mail and in person amid a deadly pandemic. Experts predict the vote could reach 160 million, far exceeding the 138 million ballots cast 4 years ago. Democratic challenger Joe Biden began Election Day by making a brief stop at St. Joseph's Church in Wilmington, Delaware, with his family. Biden is heading to Scranton, Pennsylvania, his childhood home, and Philadelphia. President Trump will spend much of Tuesday at the White House, where a non-scalable fence was erected around the perimeter. Meanwhile, inside, an election night party is planned in the East Room on Tuesday for 400 guests, all of whom will be tested for COVID-19.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.